gone way over my time. We yield to recognize the gentleman from Massachusetts.
Thank you. You know, we have real issues with a lot of things that are happening over there in terms of insight into contracts, and particularly subcontracts and the whole contracting process. I mean, in the trucking contracts, there was no insight at all to the subcontracts. They had no idea who were the drivers, or no idea who was providing security, no oversight on that. On the oil delivery, you know, the Department of Defense and the Department of State couldn't even tell us who the company was. They knew the name of the corporation. They had no idea who the principals were or where they were organized for, no insight into that contract. The Defense Logistics Agency and the food contract now arguing over almost $1 billion or $2 billion of cost because they drove what appears to be a questionable contract, and their lack of oversight and coming to terms even over a multi-year period on that. This is a concern here. You have very little insight into these contracts, and now somebody comes along and says, you know, this is what we foresee could happen. It seems to me you plan for the worst. You know, you hope for the best, but you plan for the worst. I think Mr. Trent has given you the worst-case scenario of what might happen here. You're acknowledging that you don't know. It might happen. So are you planning for what Mr. Trent has said may well happen, or are you just hoping for the best and not planning for the worst?
No, I mean, we are planning for the worst. We have, with our implementing partners, detailed contingency plans about what happens if, what happens. We did this all the way through this transition process, and we continue to put those in place.
But what if all 32 remaining companies that need security end up needing the APPF, find out that that's not really totally up to speed, end up having to hire risk companies on top of that, and then paying the 20% on that? What's the cost increase when all that happens?
We don't know the answer to that question. Literally on a project-by-project basis, we require contingency plans to think through all of these eventualities. Some of those projects may choose to increase their RMCs. Some of them may choose to operate in a different fashion.
But as you do that, at some point you have that information and you aggregate it, and you turn around and you say, this is a worst-case scenario by our best analysis, and do it. I suggest that that's not a bad plan right now to go and do that. Let me, you know, Mr. Trent, when you talk to people and you got your projections, I assume you went and talked to some of Mr. Tier's partners, the people that he deals with on the ground, right?
That's correct, sir.
It'd be the same people, Mr. Tier, that you talk to.
Absolutely.
All right. So, Mr. Trent, you got one story, and Mr. Tier, you got another, because Mr. Trent is saying that when he talked to them, they saw some issues, and you're saying that you had a nice talk with them and they've got everything planned out and everything's okay. So, Mr. Trent, tell me a little bit about how your